Hey everybody, welcome back. I guess election day is coming up soon, and I've got a little fun fact for you. The reason why most older Laotian people are Republican, basically during the Great Migration of the '80s, a lot of people from Laos, from Vietnam, from Cambodia, coming over to the U.S. and we at the port there asked, "Would you like to register for vote?" And it's an American thing, so oh yeah, I want to be more American, and so they registered, and most of them registered Republican. And a couple years down the line, I asked my dad. My dad is a Republican. I asked him, why are you a Republican? And he says to me that while we were in the refugee camps, we would watch a lot of movies because there's really not much to do in the refugee camps aside from working and just trying to find things to do, play ping pong, start a little farm, or going to the movies, going out to eat. So they would watch a lot of movies. And one of we're not as high tech, so they don't get the modern movies. And so what they did watch was a lot of westerns, a lot of cowboy spaghetti westerns, things like that. And one of the actors was Ronald Reagan. And so when they come to the United States, the president of the United States at the time was Ronald Reagan. And so they knew who he was. He was a familiar face. And so hey, he's the president of the United States. I know who he is. He's a Republican. Okay, well, I guess I'm a Republican now. And that, in short, is pretty much why most older Laotian, most older Southeast Asians are Republicans. And we tend to stick to what we know, to the familiarity. You would find that if you go to Minnesota, there is a huge Laotian population in Minnesota because one of the generals during the Vietnam War, during the secret war in Laos, was a gentleman called General Vang Bao. And who he was a Hmong person, a tribe, a northern tribe in Laos. And he worked with the U.S. government to recruit a lot of the Hmong people to help fight during the Vietnam Secret War. And so when the war was over, he left. He went back home. He went back home to Minnesota. And because he was the general that recruited the Hmong people, they said, "Hey, if we're going to go to the U.S., if we're going to escape this, we're going to move to Minnesota too." And because he lives there, guess where we're going? We're going to Minnesota. And so that's how there's such a huge Lao population in Minnesota. So going from tropical Southeast Asia to Minnesota, you know, like we would do things like that just because it's familiar, just because it's safe, it's homely. And that was a quick fact. So I want to welcome you to the official Chasing Gentavisuc podcast this week. I wanted to do this last week because this is actually, I guess this would be a Halloween episode, but something just didn't feel right about doing it last week, so I decided not to do it. The week before that, Alex had got pneumonia and he was home all week, so I really couldn't record. And so last week, some strange things happened. One, I couldn't find my headphones, which strangely normally sits right on top of my computer. And so I couldn't record it even if I wanted to. They ended up in my closet somehow, which is very strange. I'm the only one that touches them. This week, the reason why this is so late is because my notes that I took on Google Drive completely gone. I have no idea what happened to them. I'm the only one that has access to them. Gone. I looked for my handwritten notes that I write down before I type them up. Those are also gone. So maybe I wasn't meant to record this episode. Maybe you're not even meant to listen to this episode. With that in mind, please like, share, subscribe the show. It helps me out a lot. It gets a lot more ears. We've been getting a lot of listeners, and I appreciate every single one of them, including Minnesota. So hello, Minnesota, for the first time. Saying hello to you guys. But my old home states of California and New York are coming through. New England is just great. I get feedback from my New England listeners all the time. Most of them are actually my coworkers, and I appreciate you guys for giving me feedback as well. Again, my social media all across the board, King Kato 81. Pretty easy to get a hold of me. And with that, let's begin. Chasing Chantavisuk. I want to say that right around this time, right around the holidays, I guess, pre Mariah Carey, I start going through a deep depression. For the longest time, I had no idea why I would just suddenly feel sad, feel angry, and just lash out at people. And I apologize every single time because I know I'm doing it, but I don't know why I'm doing it. Up until about a few, no, I wouldn't say a few years because it's actually been quite some time since time passes. I'll say about 15 years ago when I discovered and when I sat down May 13 to 1981 when I was born. I wasn't the only one born that day. And unfortunately, all I'm going to say is I have survivor's remorse. And every holiday, every time my birthday comes around, especially around my birthday, I just go into this deep hole, this deep depression, and I don't want to be around anyone. I don't want to talk to anyone, and it's a running gag now with between myself, my wife, and Alex. Every Father's Day, every time my birthday rolls around, she always asks me, what do you want to get? And I always go, I just want to be left alone. And it's funny because most people just don't want to be left alone. They want things for their birthday and for Father's Day. But no, truly, I that's all I really want is just to be left alone. And I get it, they want to spend time with Papa, and I'm okay now. I've done some exercises and retrained myself to be somewhat better, but there's still moments where that other side of me comes out, and I feel really bad, especially around Alex. So I'm sorry, buddy. I really am. And so let's start at the beginning, I suppose. Again, I wasn't the only one born that night, and unfortunately, I was the only one that made it. I didn't even get a. I didn't have a name at the time, and she didn't have a name at the time either. And my parents were told that spirits just didn't want us to be, and I don't know what that means. But I guess I wasn't supposed to be here, and so the elders, various religious people, monks, both they all said that whatever name that I was supposed to have, I'm not going to have that name anymore. I shouldn't have that name anymore because the spirits were going to be looking for this person. They want to finish the job. And so I was given the nickname Noi, which is a universal name. It could be a boy, it could be a girl. It can be anything. It could be spelled various different ways. I my name is spelled Noy, which strangely enough is the female version. But I guess that's also used to trick them. But yeah, so my nickname is Universal. It's unisex. You can use it for anyone. And then my official name, Villapun, is named after a general, a strong, loud general. I guess that's to give me more oomph. I don't know what my intended name was supposed to be. I guess I will never know. I'm not even sure if my parents remember what that name was supposed to be. Maybe it'll be a deathbed confession. It's spoken, and then like I crumble in the dust or something, like Rumpelstiltskin. Is my name Rumpelstiltskin? Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, so a lot of strange activities happened in the following days. I don't remember any of those things, but my first memory of something weird, quote unquote, happening is, you guys remember that little toy, the toy monkey with the symbols? And I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. The monkey with the symbol. I think it was in the movie Monkey Shine at one point too. But anyways, somebody had gotten me that toy. One of the first toys I remember actually receiving, and you had to wind it. You had to wind it up, and it was, symbols, clang, 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 and every the good ones would like nod their heads or dance or something like that. I didn't get the good one. I just got the symbols, and again, you had to wind it. And when I was done playing with it, so it wouldn't get stolen, my dad would put it up on a very, very high shelf. Something somebody like me wouldn't even be able to climb up to get it. So it was sitting up there. And I remember one night we're sitting down, we're having a dinner. Myself, my mom, and my dad, the other people living in our longhouse, and suddenly the monkey starts going off, just banging the cymbal. Out of nowhere, just bang, 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 and full on, you know. And my dad gets up and he goes over and he mutters something. I don't know what he said, but I remember he muttered something to the toy, and it stopped. And it would happen again randomly in the coming weeks, I suppose. Just random toy, bang, 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 going off. And remember, this thing needs to be wound up. There's no switch, there's no batteries. It has to physically be wound up. And it would just go off, and my dad would mutter something, it would stop, to the point that he got tired of doing it and he broke the winder. So I had the monkey. I was playing with the monkey just fine. Creepy face with a smile, looks like Donkey Kong. And he broke the winder off. And one night, again in the middle of everyone's there, clang, 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 again with the cymbals. And my father had finally gotten enough. He was just tired of it. Grabs it and throws it out. And that was the end of that. And then I didn't really have any issues again after that. And so we come to the U.S. and you ever get those, like, I'm sure everybody gets these things where they like see something move in the corner of their eye and then they look and it's not there. And I'll explain what my theory is on that later. But I would get that all the time when we moved to Avenue D, and I would see like shadows peeking around corners, things like that. And so I made nothing of it. But I would tell my parents, and they would tell me everything is fine. And I remember one night I was sleeping in my super cool waterbed, all by myself, king size waterbed. I mean, baller. But I'm sleeping in my waterbed. My parents are sleeping in their bed. They had a much smaller bed than me. That's how cool I was. And I remember like the bed moving, like someone had climbed into the bed with me, and I was turned over. I was awake. I this is not a lucid dream. This is not one of those where like, I'm dreaming that it's happening. I was wide awake because I had just gotten into bed. Wrestling had just ended, and this is the night. This is the night Earthquake killed Damien the snake. That's how I remember it. Earthquake sits on Damien the snake and kills it. And Jake the Snake Roberts is looking in the bag and he's out. It's dead. And so yeah, my mom comes home from work and I told her, oh my god, Damien the snake. Yeah, he's dead. Like it's a kid. It's still real to me, damn it. And so I'm up all night like thinking about this. Like, oh my god, I just saw a murder. Like Earthquake killed a snake. you know. And so I'm laying in bed. My parents are asleep, and I feel the bed moving. And you guys know water beds. Like once it starts moving, it moves for quite some time, and it was a good oomph. And so I'm facing the wall, and I'm hesitant to turn. And suddenly, I decide, all right, maybe my mom and my dad, you know, got into an argument without me hearing or something like that, and so one of them just decided to come into bed with me. So I roll over, nothing there, nothing there at all, and as soon as I completely roll over to face the other side, the bed moves again, as if something had gotten off. And wow, I got chills just thinking about goosebumps. And so that was that. And then when we moved to Trenneman Street, 22 Trenneman Street, Rochester, New York, 14621, nothing, no episodes there. But come to find out later that that house on Avenue D was haunted. It was confirmed to be haunted. And so no problems there up until I turned 13, right before my parents got a divorce. I was helping my mom get groceries out of the car. And I looked across the street, and there was this gentleman just standing there. No, weird. You guys remember that Darien Lake commercial? The mascot they used to have? It was like a dude in like a really oversized suit, and he was like bald. He looked kind of like a turtle. That guy. That guy was standing across the street, and he was gesturing to me to come over to him. And for some odd reason, I turned to my mom and I go, Mom, can I have $1? And she's like, for what? It's like, there's a guy across the street. He really wants $1. And she looks over and she's like, there's no one there. I go, no, I can see him. He's right there across the street, right next to that tree. He's gesturing for me. He's making that come here motion with his index finger. Can I have $1 and give it to him? She goes, there's no one there. Get in the house. There's no one there. And I go in, and that was the end of that. And so I kind of just start telling myself there's nothing there, whatever. I start flushing it out of my head. Whenever I would see something in the corner of my eye, I'm like, yeah, it's whatever. The final episode I had on Saranac Street in my dad's house, where he's currently living now, I was sleeping in the room that my uncle was sleeping in. He's no longer with us, but I was sleeping in that room, and I'm in my bed. Could be a lucid dream, but I'm in my bed, and I'm sleeping on my back, which is very rare. I never really sleep on my back. And there is someone on my right side standing there. I can't quite look over. I'm just kind of frozen. So I'm awake. Like, I'm wide awake. My eyes are open. And there's just someone staring at me. I can tell someone is staring at me. I can see a full body standing next to me in what appears to be like a beige pajamas or something in that color. Eggshell. I don't know. I didn't know the colors very well. But the person is staring at me, and I don't pay attention. I am not looking. I'm like, yeah, you're not there. I know you're there, but you're not there. But suddenly, like, the shape changes. The shape changes to more of a blobby figure, almost like you seen the movie The Abyss, where the water being comes out and it changes into like a tube thing. It looked kind of like that, but it didn't have a face. It didn't have anything. It was just completely dark. But the changes from the beige to just this translucent tube. So I was probably having a dream, but it tried to look at me, and I just wouldn't look at it in the face. It tried to look at me in the face, and I just wouldn't look at it. Like, I just wouldn't catch contact with it. And suddenly it disappeared, gone. And that was it. That was the last time I ever had anything like that as a child. I talked to my parents about it. I talked to my dad about it, and They actually took me. Well, my dad actually took me to a temple, and I was told that I could see things. That I had a gift, and I could see things that I wasn't supposed to see. And I remember this because I don't want to say I believe in guardian angels or anything, but I remember in second grade, we were playing outside, and I had gotten jumped by these kids, and it didn't hurt. It was just like a bunch of kids just hovering and like just you know just on top of you, and they get pulled out by this much older kid, and I remember his face. I don't know his name, but for some reason the name Gabriel keeps coming up, and he pulls everybody off of me. He asks me if I'm okay, and I go, yeah, yeah, I'm fine. I'm a little scared, but I'm fine. And so I never saw him again. Like, he didn't go to my school. He wasn't in my class. He was just there at that very moment, pulling these kids off and asking if I was okay. Thought nothing of it. And then in the sixth grade, I became a White Sox fan. And so, because of Frank Thomas. And I had gotten a White Sox hat. And the White Sox, because of Dr. Dre, was a very hot commodity. So I had gotten a White Sox hat, starter hat, when starter was still a thing. Still a thing, probably. I don't know. I had gotten that, and a kid had grabbed it right off my head and started running. And I chased after him. I got my hat back, but I turned around, and there was this person again. There was Gabriel was there again, and again asked if I was okay. Yeah, I'm okay. Did you get your hat back? Yeah, yeah, I got my hat back. All right. Didn't see him again. Didn't go to my school. We had a very small group of kids in my school. Didn't go to my school. Again, he was older than me, so I don't think he was in a grade older than me or anything like that. Never saw him again, ever. So, like I said, I don't know about guardian angels, but this person showed up twice when I was in trouble, I guess you'd say. I wouldn't say a lot of trouble, but he showed up when I needed someone to help. So take that for what it was. But yeah, I was told I had this gift to see things that wasn't there. And I would see, like, I don't know, most recent thing I saw was a little boy sitting underneath a subway seat. He wasn't supposed to be there. I knew he wasn't supposed to be there. And he looked at me, and, I looked at him, and he knew that I saw him. And he was dressed, I wouldn't say he was dressed, period, appropriate, but he wasn't modern. I guess he wasn't dressed modern. And don't get me wrong, like, I don't see ghouls, I don't see rotten people, things like that. I see people as normal people, and I unfortunately I think I passed that gift on to Alex because he talks about his grandfather a lot. My father-in-law Harry, who passed months after Alex was born, but he knows a lot about Grandpa Harry. He knows where Grandpa Harry lived. When he was when he was 1 or 2, we were driving there, and he goes, "Are we going to Grandpa's house?" And I'm like, "Yeah, buddy. How do you know? Grandpa lives here." I go, "Yeah, yeah, he does. You were born in May and he passed away in December. How do you know this?" That whole sort of thing. And so we believe Grandpa comes to visit him, plays with him every now and then. And so, yeah, unfortunately, I think I passed that on to him. And so every time he sees something, or he says, "My friend this, my friend that," I do ask him about it because I take a big interest in it. And I think you should encourage that. I think we're all born with that ability, and because as we get older, we tell ourselves, it's a shadow, or it's just a figment of my imagination. Then your mind just goes, all right, if you're not going to use this gift, then you know we're gonna we're gonna get rid of it and use that memory that we have for TikTok passwords or something like that. But so here's my theory about, and I'll tell you, actually, that boy on the subway was not the most recent, because Alex and I both have an episode 2 years ago, and I'll end the show with that one. Well, let me tell you about my theory of why we see things, and it's not my personal theory. It's a theory that I've read about, and I strongly believe is probably the most, I wouldn't say accurate, but the most sound theory, and it's called the radio theory. And the radio theory is, in the simplest term, is you're listening to a radio station, right? You're listening to, I don't know, country or rock or hip hop. You are listening to that station, but there are other stations playing at the same time. There are other genres being played at the same time. Just because you're not tuned in to those stations doesn't mean they're not playing. So what I mean is, just because you're not tuned into, like, you're not tuned into to country, doesn't mean that country music isn't playing right now. You're listening to sports, you're listening to baseball, doesn't mean basketball isn't playing on another channel right now. And so humans run off of frequency as well. That's why when I post on Facebook, when I post on Twitter, I'll sometimes say, I'm a frequency 2 today, something like that. And I believe in that. I believe we are tuned to a certain frequency, that we are usually on that frequency. And unfortunately, every now and then, we get out of tune. We tune into something else. And that's when you see that thing in the corner of your eye. You see, like, something furry scuttling across the floor. And then suddenly you look over there. Unfortunately, you're tuned back to your frequency and not whatever that thing was. That's why I believe people see Bigfoot. Bigfoot's walking around in the forest right now. We're also walking around the forest right now. Unfortunately, we're not tuned into each other's frequencies. We're not in each other's dimensions, I guess. And so, once in a while, though, we'll pass in through that door and we'll see Bigfoot just roaming around, doing his thing. And then he'll look at you and be like, what the hell is that? I need to get my camera out. Unfortunately, Bigfoot doesn't have a camera. Or maybe he does. I don't know. I don't know Bigfoot. And so, I try to get myself back into being able to tune into different frequencies. And so, like, energy cannot be destroyed. When you die, your energy, your spirit has to go somewhere. And it could bounce back and forth between, I don't know, 98.2 to 106.7, And every now and then it'll come back. And so, that's my theory. It's just that everything is going on all at the same time. We're just tuned into different frequencies. And maybe those crazy people that you think are crazy, maybe they're tuned into a different frequency than we are. Maybe they actually do see people. Maybe they see crab people and they're getting signals from crab people. I don't know. I don't know that. I'm not judging. But when I worked in the state hospital, I would ask the patients, "Hey, what do you see? Like you said, you're seeing something. What do you see? Can you describe that to me? Can you draw it for me? Can you write down what those people, those entities, are saying to you?" And I got some pretty, I got some pretty messed up things. But yeah, so my closing, finishing, in closing, finishing story is about 2 years ago. My wife booked us a little cabin. Not one cabin, just a motel or something, up in Conway, New Hampshire. and she wanted to go to this place called Donna's Bath. And it's a hike. It's a nice little waterfall forest hike. And so we go there and we get in the parking lot. We get out. I get Alex out and I'm holding his hand. And as soon as we get to the park, where the park begins, the entrance to the park, he starts freaking out, just crying, not wanting to go into the park, just wants to go home, and just unconsolable crying. And I'm getting angry because I don't know, because I'm angry. I'm only angry all the time. And you know, Mary's being the calming voice. She goes, "Let's go back to the car." And I'm just like, wasting my time driving up here, blah, 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 angry father, and just just smoldering away. And Mary calms him down, and he calms down. He gets a snack. Maybe he was just angry. Who knows? He gets a snack, and they he agrees to go back to to the park. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm not I'm not up for it. You guys go ahead. You guys go without me. I'll catch up. I try to calm myself down. And I don't know why I got that angry to begin with. Probably because of what's about to happen next. So they go in ahead. They didn't go too far. I didn't let them go that far. I mean, I'm still the protector of the family. So I walk in, and it felt weird. Like I you can tell something feels weird. Like your body is still in tuned to something. And so I walk in a couple steps, and the everything changes. Like the forest is a little bit darker, even though the sun was shining right on it. It's not shade. It just feels darker. I thought nothing of it. I walk I walk down the path. I see Mary and Alex. They're standing there. They're doing nothing. They're waiting for me, but they're standing there, kind of in a guarded, I guess, position. Like Mary was holding on to Alex, and Alex was just looking at me. And so I catch up with them, and I hold Alex by the hand, and we start walking. I started noticing that there were no sounds. It was the wind was blowing, like you can see the leaves rustling, but you don't hear the wind. It's daylight, but you don't hear any birds in the forest. Normally, you would hear some sort of like ambiance. There was nothing. It was just quiet. I could hear my breath. I can hear Alex and Mary in our footsteps. And so in my head, I'm calming myself down. I'm trying to center myself, trying to feel this place out. And so in my head now, I'm projecting a thought. I'm not talking. I'm just projecting this thought out within myself. I say, if there's anyone that wants to make contact, let me hear you. In my head, I'm saying this, but I'm projecting it outwards. If there's anyone who wants to speak, if there's anyone who wants to say anything, let me hear you. And I got silence. But we rounded a bend and we started, walking uphill. And I'm repeating this over and over, just broadcasting this within myself. If there's anyone who wants to make contact, I am here. If there's anyone who has anything to say, I am listening. And this is just going on in my head. And suddenly I got really cold. This is in September. And again, just a light breeze. But again, I don't hear the wind. I don't feel anything. I get cold. And I started feeling like a piercing, like just right in the middle of my chest. And so in my head, I'm projecting out again. Okay, I feel you. Let me hear you. and the piercing just gets worse. It feels like a hot pin in my chest right now, and my heart starts going. My heart starts beating really, really fast, and my anxiety starts kicking in. And I don't really get anxious. Like, I've I was a chef. I've butchered animals. I've seen blood. I've been in fights that I've never been nervous about. I was getting very anxious. My breath was getting faster. This pain in my chest, like this searing, prickling pain. Not a heart attack, by the way. But if it, I don't know how you ever get that feeling where it's like you hear that noise, that high pitched noise, and it's like just piercing you. That's how I felt, but it was in my chest. And I got really emotional. And I'm still projecting out. I am here. I am listening. I can feel you. Let me hear you. Like, let me hear your what you have to say. And we get to a bridge, and I don't actually hear anything, but I'm just going, hmm. And like, I'm getting incredibly emotional to the point that my wife notices, Mary notices. And she goes, "What's wrong?" And I just blurted out, "I want to cry right now. I want to cry and I want to run away. Like, I want to turn around and I just want to run." She goes, "What are you talking about?" Because Mary, she's she's very superstitious, but she tends not to go towards that area. And I told her, like, I just feel really sad. There is something in me that just feels very anxious. I feel like crying, and I really, really, really want to run away right now. And Alex is looking at me. He's looking at me like he's not afraid, but he's also confused because he's looking at me as if saying, "You feel it too, don't you?" And I look back at him and I just squeeze his hand and he just looks up at me, and I give him like a assuring nod that I hear you, buddy. Like, I know now what you were feeling. And so Mary's like, "Okay, you can hear the waterfall. You can hear the water. Let's just get to the water and take a look at the waterfall, and then we'll go back." And I go, "Okay, it's not that far away. Like, you can actually see the waterfall a couple yards ahead, and there's a plaque there." Mary loves plaques. She loves reading those things. And so we go. We get there, and we get to the plaque. I don't look at it. I take Alex, and we go to look at the water, and there's people there now. So there's people there now. They're splashing around. He feels a lot better, and I feel a lot better. And Mary calls out to me, "Babe, come look at this." Like, all right. So I take Alex, "Come on, buddy. Mama needs us." And we go and read the plaque. Well, guess what the plaque says? It says, this area was never settled by Native Americans because they believed that there were evil water spirits living in this area, and that they believed it was bad luck to settle the area. And I go, well, that's a thing. And so we go to leave. We go to leave, and I get back into my center. I get back within myself, and I go, "Okay, okay, I get your point. I hear you. I understand. My family and I are leaving now. We're going to leave you alone, and we're leaving." And then we turn around. And I repeat that along the way. We're leaving. We leave you in peace. We understand. And we're leaving now. And we start walking back down the path the way we came. And then the birds started singing again. The leaves started rustling again. The sun pierced through the tree line as if nothing had ever happened, like as if it was supposed to be in the first place. I heard birds, I saw squirrels running around, I saw a leaf fall from the tree. Those things, those normal things that you would normally see while on a hike, were now happening as we're leaving. As I speak out, saying, we're leaving you alone, we are leaving you in peace. And that was that. Like, I told Mary that when we got in the car, what I was doing. And yeah, we looked it up. You can look it up. You can actually look up Donna's Baths in Conway. And you can actually read the stories about the Native Americans believing that the evil spirits lived in the water. Somebody had, white man, of course, somebody had built, I believe it was a paper mill in that area, and that it got flooded and completely just destroyed. And that was that. So it's in Bartlett, New Hampshire. I'm looking at it right now. Diana's Baths. I'm sorry, Diana's Baths in Bartlett, New Hampshire. You can go there and see it yourself, and see if you can feel what I felt. You know, go in respectfully, of course, and don't say a word. Don't speak a word, but go in there and then just project out in your head. I am here. I am listening. Does anyone have anything to say? Does anyone have anything they want us to feel? And just project that out as you're walking. And I bet if you can just concentrate on your breathing, concentrate on your steps, and just say those words, I bet you'll get a reaction. Try that anywhere. Try that anywhere you are. When there's not a lot of people around, when you can get focused, when you can calm yourself and get yourself to a plane, a frequency. Try that exercise, and I bet you will get results. Might not be the results you like, but I bet you can get results off of it. I'm actually going to do that more often. It was very interesting. But that is the end of this episode. Again, this was a really, really weird episode. I don't know where my notes are. I don't know how something saved in the cloud is completely gone. I don't know anything handwritten, which I usually leave in my backpack at all times, is gone. So, if somebody calls you later on after you listen to this episode and you get an unknown call, don't pick it up. Don't even listen to the voicemail. I don't want some girl who played in Lilo and Stitch to tell you have 7 days to live or something. All right. So take care of yourself, guys. Thank you for listening to this show, this episode, and all the other subsequent episode. I believe The Exodus is still the number one show with like over 5,000 listens. So I really, really appreciate you guys listening. And Brooks Was Here is number 2, which I completely get. And I am very appreciative of that because it's getting the word out. And you shouldn't be alone in those times. You're not alone. Please feel free to leave me a message on Anchor. Some of you have my number. You can always get a hold of me on any of the social medias. If you want, I can read out your messages. If not, that's cool. And keep it between us. That's fine. But thank you for listening. And I promise I will get another episode out on time. And just to give you a little tidbit, the next episode is about my cooking career. Super exciting. Believe me. Trust me. It is pretty exciting. So I will see you guys next week.